My parents split up when I was in grade 4, and I remember going to this new school, and I had a new friend, and we went to his place for lunch, and when his mom asked about my father, I said they were divorced, and it was like he wasn't allowed to play with me anymore. Like, I was low class. When it came to church, my experience was typically when I would spend summers at my grandma's. So there was no real relationship with God. When I turned 15, I started working, and I started hanging out with older people, and that's when I got introduced to drinking and drugs. And I finally felt a place where I felt like accepted. And I got to university and I experienced failure. And I ended up getting kicked out of university. So I was, 10 grand in debt, and I had 4 years of school under my belt, but nothing to show for it. And so I made a decision to go to hair school. At that point, it was really good. And I met my wife, now my ex-wife. It was a roller coaster ride. And I knew we were having problems and we were going to work on it, but she just up and left, So I felt abandoned, right? I delved deeper and deeper into drinking daily, smoking up daily, dabbling in harder drugs occasionally. I found comfort, I guess, in distraction. So when my first marriage ended, I felt completely abandoned, like I had just been written off. A week later, because of that, I ended up getting involved with my future wife already. Within 6 months, we were expecting. Leading up to having the child, I started creating some strife. We started to, not get along as much. Then when our daughter was born, my second wife, she had some postpartum. And then once she got healthier and was able to get back to work a bit, and things seemed to get a little bit better. And then it started to become two separate lives. My second wife, she left. And honestly, I'd wake up every morning and I was angry. I was using drugs more often. Just a lot of resentment, anger, bitterness. It was no way to live. The night when it all hit the fan for me was my daughter was with me that week, and she was at her school at a play. I ended up meeting up with a friend and ended up just doing a little. Well, little wasn't a little in those days. And so I then turned to mask the fact that I was high by drinking a bunch of vodka. And I was like, well, I can't pick my kid up like this. So I called someone and they showed up. She asked me what I wanted to do, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. We went in the bathroom, broke these bags open into the toilet and flushed them, and I watched them go down the drain. This friend suggested, going to get help. She called the hotline for this 12-step program. And I said I was gonna go. I told my child I was gonna go. Made it through the next couple days, showed up on Monday, parked about a block away from this church. As I went down the stairs into this basement of this church, it was like the weight of the world had been lifted off my back. And I was just like, I felt a sense of peace, and I was like, I need this. A couple days into attending these meetings, I ran into a friend of mine. As it turned out, he was going to celebration on Sunday, and I was like, you go to church? And I had a chuckle, and then I was like, wait a second, I want to go. We came on the following Sunday, and I was in the back row, and I felt like every word of the sermon was directed at me. And at the end, I raised my hand up and turned my life over to Jesus. And it was that feeling I had when I went down the stairs that I identified with. I finally knew what it was. It was the Holy Spirit. Probably about a week later, I had one of my clients come in to the salon, and I told her my story. And again, she was like, she prayed for me. And at that time, she prayed to have the addiction lifted off me. Like, I have not wanted to use again. Took next steps. I got involved with production, got to meet some people, work with cameras, took the Alpha course, got into the Bible, really was a game changer. Freedom. Can't forget one of the most important days was September 29th. I did water baptism here, and the start of a new era in my life. The forgiveness was key. I felt, again, like I'm a child of God. I belong. I'm good enough. My past doesn't define me. I trust God, and that trust led to my faith, and that faith led to my hope, and that hope led to my freedom, you know?